Hey guys, this is Pete here, and Novak and Rafa put on a show yesterday, going 3 sets, nearly 3 hours of tennis, showing the tennis world. We know the next geners are getting better. We know they're hungry. We know they want to take the top spot. We know we're getting older, but we're still not ready to go. Not even close. So this week was a huge week. Lots of challenges for two of the GOATs, Rafa and Novak. And they answered all the challenges, came out on top. And really, it went exactly like it should have. Two of the GOATs getting to the final. And then the greatest player, the king of clay, coming out on top, showing that he's the greatest ever on clay. I mean, what else can you say? No other way to put it. Rafa's still the king. It looked like against Shapovalov, and if he would have lost that match to Shapovalov, there'd be a completely different narrative this week that maybe this is the year we see Rafa fall at the French. Instead, he was able to completely turn that around, and I would think that most people would now put Rafa easily as the favorite to go into the French. He won two out of the three? Didn't he just play three tournaments? I think he played he won 2 out of 3 of the clay court tournaments he played, or maybe it was 2 out of 4. Either way, yeah, I guess it was 4 he played. He won 2 of them. So, and he avenged his loss to Zverev, and he beat Novak Djokovic in the final, who, is one of the GOATs. So Rafa's got to be feeling amazing. So what I want to do is kind of, the day after, get everybody's feeling. Does this make Rafa pretty much like hand him the trophy now? Should we just give Rafa the trophy right now for number 14? Think about the great Pete Sampras. What an amazing career he had. When he got to 14 and retired, I thought, man, no one's getting to 14 for quite a while. And then Roger, Rafa, and Novak, all three of them do it. And they are the 3 GOATs. Let's face it. And so I thought it was a great match. I said before the match that no matter who wins, first of all, I did pick Rafa to win. But I did say before the match, no matter who wins, I think both players will come out declaring victory. I think both players will come out declaring victory. And that is exactly what happened is, hey, how's it going, acing tennis? Hopefully I'll see you soon on the court again. We should do another lesson. If you don't pick Rafa to win on clay, you're wrong. Right. I mean, yeah. But a lot of people were starting not to pick Rafa on clay. A lot of people were thinking, okay, he is starting to get old. The next geners are really breathing down his neck. He lost to Rublev. He lost to Zverev. A lot of people were looking for the fall. They were looking for the big fall. And Shapovalov nearly made that a reality. So, now in hindsight, it just looks like everything's normal. Rafa is easily the best. And he is. And so I did read a comment before the final that Rafa, which I said, I bet you that Rafa, whether he wins or loses, is going to feel like mission accomplished. That he's found his game again. He's played enough on the clay to feel comfortable going in the French Open. And he's going to be happy with this week's performance. And he said all those things before the final with Novak. And then Novak, I just found an article, which I'm going to read some of it to you. The headline is, Djokovic, I'm very pleased with my fighting spirit. And, how can you go against that? I mean, the guy really does have an unbelievable fighting spirit. That match against Tsitsipas, the 2-day epic battle where he holds on to beat Tsitsipas after being down for almost the entire match, was an epic performance. And then he had to turn around the same day and go against the Italian, the crowd favorite Sonego, who's playing amazing tennis. And he took him out in 3 sets. And then he had to turn around and play the king of clay, his greatest rival. He calls Rafa his greatest rival in his career. and it'd go against him, and he took him to 3 sets. When I don't care what Novak would say, there's no way he wasn't very, very tired going into that match. But these guys are superhuman. So Novak says, we played almost 3 hours of high quality tennis. Of course, I'm disappointed not to win, but at the same time, I'm very pleased with the level of tennis I managed to find in the later stages of this tournament. Going into Paris brings me a good sensation. So he's got a good feeling going into Paris. I'm actually now starting to feel like I want to feel on clay. So I think if I manage to play the way I played last night and today, I think I'm going to have a very good chance to go all the way in Paris. Very interesting. He loses, yet he's claiming victory. Okay, so building his own self-confidence and then kind of playing like a little bit of a head game, certainly with all the next geners, and even with Rafa himself, kind of saying, Rafa knows how it feels to, have to go through and have tough matches and then play one of the GOATs. You're at a little bit of a disadvantage. So he's saying, look, I feel pretty good about this. When it is the Grand Slams too, he would have had an extra day of rest. He goes, I could have easily went out from this tournament in the quarters. Again, I'm quoting Novak Djokovic. He goes, I could have easily went out of this tournament in the quarters. I'm very pleased with my fighting spirit. The level of tennis was higher and higher, actually. Yesterday, I played great. Today, I thought I played a high level. Unfortunately, decisive moments in the first and the third set just went his way, but it was a bit unfortunate. So Djokovic basically saying, look, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good going into the French Open. And interestingly enough, you would think that Djokovic would say, okay, I feel good. That's enough tennis. Let me take a little break and just get ready for the French, practice, continue to feel good on the clay. But he's actually going to play another tournament, which I don't know. Is that a good move or a bad move? Djokovic showed he's certainly in good enough shape to play a lot of tennis and come back the next day and keep playing great tennis. He obviously feels like he is healthy, that he's not worried about any lingering injuries. That's pretty good if you're a Novak fan. It appears that there's no issue with elbows or backs or shoulders, some of the things, wrist, some of the things that typically, if you are a Novak fan, that you've been concerned about going into some tournaments. Looks like none of that is there, and he's only getting more and more confident and going against the greatest on clay and going 3 sets after playing 6 sets going into that match in just a short amount of time makes Novak feel really, really good. And he is number 1 in the world. Don't forget, he is still number 1 in the world, guys. He did still win the last major played, the Australian Open, and he won that very convincingly. And one thing that I thought he said is he's like refusing to kind of buy into the whole next geners are taking our spot thing, where before his final with Medvedev at the Australian Open, he said, yes, they're getting better, but I think that they still have a long way to go. And then he said that he had a nice moment with Nadal in the locker room as they both got to the finals. This is my buddy B2 who's going, what are you doing? What are you so angry at? He was upset, I think, that, yes, now you're giving me kisses. He was upset, I think, that Rafa won. He's a Nadal fan, so he's not happy. He's going a little crazy. He's a nice dog, but he's not acting very nice right now. I want to put him down. He's acting nuts, guys. The dog is acting crazy. So anyway, Djokovic is not buying into this whole theory that they're losing it and that they're getting older. And so he had a nice moment with Rafa. Basically they're kind of looking at each other saying, look, here we are. We did it again. And he said that, he disagrees with Rafa that they're getting older. he feels like they're still getting better. So he's not, and he's a couple years younger. So he's not buying into the whole narrative that, we're on the back nine here. We're getting ready to give this up. He's staying to the field. Roger might be admitting it a little bit that he's, 39 and only got a little bit of time. And Rafa might be somewhat suggesting that it's getting harder, but I'm not saying that. That's a big statement by Novak. Novak is being inconsistent, saying, I think y'all still got a long way to go. So that kind of goes in line with what you'd think that he'd want to say to everybody, because he realizes he's still behind in the Grand Slam count. He's got to catch up, and he's not far behind. If he can win in France, he's at 19. So he'll only be one behind, and he wants to have the most. So he's letting the rest of the field know, hey, I've still got plenty more left in the tank. I'm still going to be here for years. I have no plans of retiring. I have no plans on giving up my throne. And so you guys are going to have to wait even longer to start winning majors. That's what Novak is saying. Roger, certainly, we're even worried if he's going to be back on the court in any kind of form that he has shown in his career. He's 39 now, and he's been battling an injury, and that's a little scary. So, what can Roger do? I think Wimbledon's going to tell us a lot as far as what we can expect from Roger going into Grand Slams. If he does not have a good performance at Wimbledon, where he would definitely have his best, maybe we're done seeing Roger compete for Grand Slam titles, and then that just leaves Rafa and Novak, and then Tsitsipas knocking on the door. Medvedev's been close on the hard courts. Rublev's playing great tennis. There's lots of next geners really trying to make their move. So Dominic Thiem, can he get out of his rut? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. So Novak, certainly I would say you'd have to put him as the second favorite. You got to put Rafa as the first. And Rafa winning yesterday puts him at a distant first. Like, he just did it again, guys. Number 10 at Barcelona. He's going for number 14. So I'm putting Rafa way up there. I'm putting Novak right behind. Who are we looking at next? I would say the next people that really had a great clay court season, that have an outside chance of winning and pulling off an upset. I'd say the next two you'd have to pick would be Tsitsipas and Zverev. Those are the next two guys I'm looking at. They had a very good clay court season, especially towards the end. Tsitsipas winning the tournament, giving Djokovic all he could handle. Alexander Zverev beating Rafa Nadal. And then, the score line was straight sets, but if you watch that match, there were some moments there where you're like, if you're a Rafa fan, you're like, man, he's got to get out of here quickly, because Zverev's starting to get in the zone on his tossed-in forehand to Zverev's backhand. He's starting to crush that backhand down the line. So Rafa did win that, but you could have seen that being turned around. So Zverev shows that he really is great on the clay. For a guy 6'6", he moves very well. And he likes to play far behind the baseline. And he plays kind of the same style as Rafa, although he hits the ball a lot flatter. But he likes to start back near the fence, and he likes to work his way up in the court. Same way that Rafa plays. In fact, the more that Rafa has shown that it works for him at the U.S. Open and on the hard courts, you're noticing more and more players starting to copy that. Medvedev does it as well. Start way back, work your way in, and that works especially well on the clay and very well for Zverev. So Tsitsipas, Zverev, who else? Are we saying? Okay, I'm saying Zverev incorrectly. I'm sorry. How would you say it? How would you say Zverev? Should I add it with a little flair or accent? Hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. Do you think Novak will catch Rafa and Roger in slams by the end of the year? Well, that all depends. The French Open is such a big tournament, because if Rafa wins the French Open, he's at 21. Federer is at 20, and you're thinking, man, Federer, you better win Wimbledon, or else that's it for you. You're not ever gonna catch Rafa. And Novak is very, very close. Novak, it's weird. Like he never seems to get the credit, no matter what he does, of how awesome he is on grass. You could argue that Novak is better on grass than Roger because he beats Roger at Wimbledon. So you could argue he's better on grass than Roger. So yeah, I think that if Novak wins the French Open, he could easily then run the table. And I think he wants to run the table. So think about that. Think about the year that Novak could be setting up here. If he's won the Australian, if he somehow takes it from Rafa, now all of a sudden he's at 19, he goes into Wimbledon. I know everybody wants to put Roger as the favorite at Wimbledon, but Roger's coming off some serious time off, injuries, tons of question marks. I think Novak becomes the favorite going into Wimbledon. He wins Wimbledon. You go to the U.S. Open, again, a healthy Novak has got to be the favorite at the U.S. Open. So he could go 19, 20, 21. He could finish the year with 21. You flip that around, and then the king of clay holds on to his throne on the clay, and he's at 21. Now Novak's still stuck at 18. And even if Novak wins Wimbledon and the U.S. Open, which will not be easy, but he's certainly within his capabilities, he's still behind Rafa at 20. So that's where the Grand Slam arms race becomes very interesting. I think Rafa feels a lot of pressure, like, man, I've got to win the French Open this year, or else the floodgates open up for Novak, and he could just start running the table this year, next year, and become impossible to catch up to, because I just think that Novak has more chances to win Grand Slams than Roger and Rafa at this stage of their career. Novak is proving that he is comfortable winning on every single surface, right? He's comfortable winning at Australia. He loves Australia. He is definitely one of the best clay court players in the world. Like, I would say it's Rafa, then it's Novak and Thiem and Tsitsipas. Those are the four best clay court players, I think, today. I would say he's the best grass court player in the world, especially with Federer at 39. And we don't even know how he's going to do, if he's going to play. I mean, it's still a big question mark. And then he's the best hard court player. That's why I think Djokovic ultimately is the greatest player of all time. I mean, look at the variety. I know they've changed the surfaces. I know everything's more homogenized, but, you can make that argument. But still, Rafa seems to have trouble at the Australian Open these days. He seems to have trouble on the grass. And I would say the two tournaments, the two majors he plays the best are the French Open at this point in his career and the U.S. Open. Take a look at what he's been doing lately. The last time he played the U.S. Open in 2019, Rafa won. So Rafa does well at the French Open every year, pretty much wins it every year. I mean, he pretty much wins it every year. And then he does very, very well at the U.S. Open. He doesn't do so great for whatever reason at the Australian Open anymore. I don't know why. There's no real reason. You would think he does well at the U.S. Open, he'd do well at the Australian Open, but for whatever reason, he's been struggling lately at the Australian Open, and he's been struggling a lot on the grass. So it's a big stand here for Rafa going into the French. All right, let's see here. I got some more comments. What about Rafa winning Wimbledon? No, I don't. I mean, it's not like he can't do it. It's not like he can't do it. But Wimbledon, who could I see winning Wimbledon? Obviously, Novak could win Wimbledon. I think he's the favorite. Roger, he's healthy. He's so damn great on that grass, and his game suits the old style of the grass, classic play. And so Roger's there. I would think Tsitsipas could do very well at Wimbledon with his serve, his aggressive style of play on the forehand and the backhand, his he looks very comfortable coming forward to the net. I would think Tsitsipas should be able to do well on the grass. And then I struggle to think of who would be great on grass. Is Medvedev great on grass? I don't know. Like Dominic Thiem's not great on grass. Would Rublev be great on grass? Maybe. He hits through the court pretty hard, but I don't know. I really struggle to come up with a lot of names on who like would obviously be great on grass besides Novak, Roger, and Tsitsipas. And then, so I would have to not put Rafa in that category, but Rafa has won Wimbledon. And since there's not that obvious choice for who would be a favorite on grass, you'd have to put Rafa in that conversation. But I certainly don't think he's going to win Wimbledon. Let's see here. Rafa, young whippersnapper, who seems to always be on our live streams, which is great. Rafa could easily win the French Open and one of Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. I mean, if I had to like say, hey, where are you putting your money? I'm putting it on the French Open for sure. I think he's the heavy favorite. I'd be surprised if he doesn't win, especially if he loses to somebody like a Rublev or like a Zverev. I mean, as good as those guys are and as much they've challenged him, I'd be surprised if they could beat him in 3 out of 5 sets. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Tsitsipas could beat him somehow at the French Open. And I wouldn't be surprised if Novak could beat him at the French Open. Those are the only 2 guys who I really see could beat him at the French Open. Otherwise, I got to give Dominic Thiem in there. I got to put him in there. I know he's having a tough time, but I would give him an outside puncher's chance to upset Rafa. Those are the only ones who I'd really worry about, but it's like a very, very small concern. I think Rafa is going to have 21 majors here within the next 3 to 4 weeks. Novak is not winning the French Open. Let's be real, says young whippersnapper. I mean, why is that such like a ridiculous thing to even say that Novak could win the French Open? He just got to the finals of Rome and took Rafa 3 sets after playing 6 sets pretty much within the 24 hours previous to that. I know the Tsitsipas match was a 2-day epic event, but most of that match was played on the second day, and then he had another 3-set match. So why is it ridiculous to think that Novak can't win the French Open? I give Novak the most chance out of anybody. He knows how to win. He knows how to beat Rafa. He got to the French Open final in October. I mean, to me, he's the next obvious choice besides Rafa. Who else? The draw of Roland Garros will be eye-catching as all the big 3 could be in the same section of the draw as Medvedev is the number 2 seed. So that's an interesting thing. We know that Roger is playing a warm-up tournament on clay, I believe next week. There's footage of him practicing on the clay with Cilic. Is this him committing? Do you think that Roger's in a wait and see mindset? Like maybe I'll play the French, we'll see how it goes. Or do you think that he's mentally committed to playing the French? And if he is mentally committed to playing the French with as little tennis as he's played, is that tipping the hat off saying, look, guys, this is it. This is my last year. This is it. No matter what happens, where I go out first round at the French and first round at Wimbledon, and if I'm not ready to play, I'm playing this is my swan song. You're not going to see me in 2022. Do you think that's what Roger playing the French means? I mean, I would more feel comfortable as a Roger fan if he says, screw the clay. I'm going to train hard as I can on the grass and try and dominate the grass court season and win another Wimbledon. Him playing this clay court tournament, even though you think, well, this is a good sign because that means he feels healthy enough to play. To me, it's not a great sign. I am not excited to see him play at the French Open because that, to me, means this might be the last year. And I don't expect him to do much on the clay except for maybe get injured, I don't want. I said that. I think he's rolling the dice by playing the French Open. You know, if you haven't played a lot of tennis and you're trying to compete 3 out of 5 on the most grueling surface and where the footing, you know, if you're used to the clay, the footing's great. You can slide for days and you love the movement of it. But if you haven't played on it for a while, he makes one wrong move at his age, boom, all of a sudden knee goes, he's not playing Wimbledon, he's done. So I'm not at all excited about him playing on clay. I really wish he wouldn't. Let's see here. I think Rafa had a much better eat. I think Rafa had better eat his Wheaties going into Roland Garros. Noli and the youngins will not allow an easy win. That's true. I think that Rafa is, Gordon, nice comment. I think that Rafa is by far the favorite, but I think he's by far the favorite, but I think this is the most open French Open we've had in a while. Novak doesn't seem to have the power hitting through clay. I agree. Novak, it's really weird. He never really appears to, because I've heard the complaint when Novak has not been in lockdown mode, when Novak has not looked unbeatable, it does appear that he has a tougher time hitting through opponents, especially his down the line shots, hitting outright winners. When he's on fire, he doesn't miss, and he also hits these winners down the line, especially on the backhand. They're just like lasers, and he's not quite doing that right now. He's not far off of it. And a lot of people will complain and say, well, Novak's too thin. He needs to put on weight. But I do notice when he reestablishes dominance and he hits through the court, it doesn't appear to me that he gains any more weight. So is it just a confidence thing? Is it just a timing thing? Or is it literally a strength thing that he does need to get stronger? I don't know. Kyrgios and Nishikori, interesting, will always be in contention for upsets at Wimbledon. Well, that's a great insight. I mean, Kyrgios, especially on grass, it's upset watch. Whenever Kyrgios holds a racket, he's across the net from you. He's got the talent to do that, especially if he feels super motivated that day. He could upset you. As far as Kyrgios going 2 weeks and winning the title, I don't really take that serious. But yes, certainly on grass, Kyrgios could take out any big name on any given day. So you got to look out for that. Let's see here. Exactly. Almost every match is hard work for Nole on clay. Don't see him having enough in the tank to win the French Open. Young whippersnapper. How does he not have enough in the tank? You know I love you, young whippersnapper, but maybe you are truly young and not seeing what I'm seeing as a coach. The dude just went 6 sets the day before playing Rafa, and then came out the next day and took Rafa to 3 sets, and then he went in a press conference and he said, I feel good. He even said yesterday's matches, whether it did or not, he even stated yesterday's matches did not impact the outcome of this match. I was not tired. And believe me, he's saying that for the young guns. He's saying, look, he is consistently right now, because you do hear more and more from Roger and Rafa a concession that it's getting harder. They're not ready to give up. They're accepting the challenge, but they are saying things like, we're getting older. I'm like, Rafa's even joked, like, I'm old. And Novak is saying, I'm not old. And yeah, they're getting better, but they got a long way to go. And then yesterday, he takes Rafa to 3, and he's like, I really like my chances now. I feel great. Right? He said, Rafa says that we're getting older. I don't agree. I think we're getting better. So I think that Novak has plenty. Look, Novak's not going to lose at the French Open because he's too tired. So when you think about that, how are you going to beat him? Because I don't think Novak's going to get too tired at the French Open. I think his will to win is going to be off the charts. I think his focus is like he's locked in right now. I think he's re-engaged with the game, and he doesn't appear to have an injury. Like, for me, unless you're Rafael Nadal, the rest of the field just better pray during those 2 weeks that Novak, which can seem to happen. He does seem to be vulnerable to injuries. You better pray that Novak somehow gets banged up, that his shoulder starts bothering him, his wrist starts hurting him, his elbow starts bothering him, right? He twists something. Like, that's the only way I see Novak not getting to the French Open final. That is the only way I see that happening. All right, let's see here. More comments. He is even getting fitter. Yes, I agree. Karatsev, he's got, he could do some damage. I really like his game. Novak needs to eat some chicken and pork. So some people are saying he needs to get stronger. He needs to get bigger. He needs to put on more muscle mass. But if you've looked at Novak for the last, 10 years, he's been extremely on the thin side. He's had his gluten-free diet, and he wins a lot more than everybody else. So I don't know if Novak needs to bulk up. It doesn't seem like that is something he thinks he needs to win. And Novak really studies the game. He studies himself. No one's more in tune with their body, I think, than Novak, from a diet perspective, working on his fitness off the court, his flexibility, on-court training. I mean, he probably even takes it to another level over Rafa. So if he doesn't feel like he needs to put on weight, I don't think he does. All right, so Peter comments. I'm also Peter. French Open is more open compared to Wimbledon. Only Djokovic and Fed can win Wimbledon this year. That may be true. I would put Tsitsipas in that conversation, guys. What do you think about Tsitsipas's chances to win Wimbledon? And how much, ordinarily every single year, if Federer is healthy on grass, you would just say he's a shoo-in to get to the finals. But are we really thinking that this year? I'm getting concerned about Federer, where his health is at, where his mind is at, because he's thinking of playing. He is going to play a clay court tournament. Why? What's the point of Federer playing a clay court tournament other than I just want the experience of being in front of the French Open crowd one more time? I see no strategy advantage to playing the French Open if I'm Roger. I mean, he's not going to win it. He has not had near enough preparation to win the French. He knows that. The guy is a champion. He knows he's not winning the French. Why else would he play the French? I mean, I don't want to be too speculative, but that's what we're doing here on this talk, this chat. But why else would he play the French Open and say, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play it next year. I want to at least be in front of the fans this year. I'm healthy enough to go out there and play. I'm healthy enough to have the experience, and hopefully I'll feel good after the French and not injure myself, and let's see what happens at Wimbledon. That's where I think his mindset is at right now. If his mindset was at like, I got to have another Grand Slam title, I really feel like I'm there. I think he would skip the French and just be 100% focused on the grass. Okay, let's read some more things here. Flo says, yes, Novak has a lot left in the tank. He just lost just a few points, right? It could have gone either way. It could have gone either way. Let's see here. Yes, the Tsitsipas match in the semifinal last year, Roland Garros, had a certain impact on Djokovic fatigue level in the final versus Rafa, maybe. I just thought he went to the drop shot too early. I thought he made a big strategy mistake, because if it was fatigue against Rafa, why did he play better as the match went on? If you look at that match, he started to play better as the match went on, not get more tired, and he started to hit through the court. And that's why he, That was the only signs of life he had against Rafa in that match, was towards the end when he started to go through his shots more. Where is Stanimal? I mean, I think Stanimal is like great career. I just don't think he's a threat anymore. Anytime he goes into a tournament, he's fighting like hell to beat players that are great players, but that are not household names. I think Stanimal is not a legit threat anymore, and I don't know. Is he injured again? I don't even know. He was not really part of the conversation the whole clay court season, so I'm guessing he must be hurt. But Nadal is absolutely Nadal. Yes. Mike says, Pete, you are making pure sense, man. Thank you. Chilich for Wimbledon. Good one. Didn't say Chilich. Maybe should say Chilich, because Chilich is one of those players to where you can't look at where Chilich is trending to predict how he's going to do. Chilich does have the game to do well at Wimbledon, and every time Chilich has made a big run at a tournament, he seems to be off the radar. It's like we forget about him. It's like, oh, damn, there he is in the semifinals. Oh, yeah, I forgot. He's pretty damn good. So Chilich absolutely has an outside chance to do well at Wimbledon, and just as good a chance as anybody not named Federer or Novak. So Chilich absolutely could be a threat. He could also go out first round. All right, Mike, again, like say, I agree with everything you've said. All right, Mike, I'm becoming a big fan of you. I can see Djokovic reaching the final, but he plays against Nadal, I expect. Yeah, I mean, that's where we expect things to go, is that he's going to reach the final, and he's going to play Nadal, and Nadal has 13 frickin' French Open, so how could you in your right mind bet against Nadal? You just don't do that. Raonic is a nightmare for Tsitsipas. Yes, Raonic is another X factor at Wimbledon. That's a very, you guys are coming up with some good names, okay? Raonic, again, if he's healthy, he could also go very, very far at Wimbledon, go all the way, or he could lose in the first round. Tsitsipas can win French, though. He could. Yes, the draw will be decisive. Medvedev section will, yeah, I don't know about Medvedev. Medvedev says he hates clay. He talks about clay the same way that Lendl talked about grass, you know, making fun of it, saying it's a dumb surface to play on. He needs to grow up. He needs to change his mindset, and he needs to spend an entire offseason on learning how to slide on the clay until he can be a threat on the clay. Otherwise, he has the strokes. I mean, he has the consistency. He has the speed, but he can't move on the clay. He needs to really learn how to move on clay. For whatever reason, it just doesn't come natural to him. He does not know how to move on that clay and slide with it. He stumbles around and looks like a lot of American players do on clay, to where they just can't ever get their footing on the clay. So Medvedev, I don't really see him doing much on the clay. All right. Thoughts on the Italian players? Well, you know, a lot of great Italian players. Berrettini could do very well at the French. Musetti, we like his game. Is he going to be a threat at the French? It seems like once all the big boys started to play, right? I mean, he got us all excited in Mexico, Musetti. But as soon as the big boys came to play the big tournaments, Musetti was no longer being talked about or getting any kind of results. So, you know, Berrettini, very, very good. You know, that's really the only one I give a shot to. Fognini seems to be losing his momentum and not in a good headspace. So, thoughts on Murray competing at slams? Love Andy Murray. My thoughts on Andy Murray competing at slams, one word comes to mind: inspirational. He's at this point an inspiration, continuing to want to play in the same way. Maybe a little more relevant than Venus. I am also impressed with how Venus Williams continues to play and give 100%, even though she knows she's not going to win any more majors and not go deep in any tournaments. And unfortunately, a lot of times not even be very competitive. But for whatever reason, she loves tennis enough to not worry about that and continue to play. I think that's where Murray is. He might have a little bit more of a chance to do some damage, pull an upset off. But I don't think that Murray is at all a legit contender on any surface. if he was to do the best, it might be Wimbledon. It's his home turf. Doesn't have to play long points. He's crafty. Wimbledon could be a good surface for him. John Isner is also good at Wimbledon. Yes. Guys, great thoughts. John Isner could be a threat at Wimbledon. It's just tough to think of these players because they're just not doing much right now of anything. Sinner will be a threat at the French and at Wimbledon. He could be, definitely. I don't know how he plays on the grass, though, but he definitely could be. You don't need to be a serve and volley player to do well at Wimbledon anymore. You just need to be comfortable coming to the net. You have to like offense. You have to have big weapons. You have to be able to end points quickly. Sinner can do all that. He could certainly do well at Wimbledon. I don't think anybody would want to play him at Wimbledon. So I think so. Kevin Anderson, also a decent player on grass. That's true. But where is he? What's he doing? How's his health? How's his mindset? How's his confidence? I would think at this point, Kevin Anderson not feeling great. What's your opinion on scheduling issues that seem to plague some of the tournaments, especially clay court? Any thoughts on how to fix it? Not really. It's a brand new world with COVID. Anytime we're able to pull off a tournament, that's a fantastic victory for everybody. Anytime you're able to get, 25% or more capacity at the event with COVID, that's a great win and a privilege to see for us and for the players. Unfortunately, COVID has shown us that spikes can happen at any time. And I don't, unfortunately, think that we're about to defeat this thing anytime soon. So where is Delpo? I think Delpo is just dealt with so many injuries. Another inspirational character who I wish had less injuries, deserved to have more Grand Slam titles. Have I ever played on grass? Yes, I played an international grass court tournament in Philadelphia. And I can tell you I played on the old school grass to where the ball either stayed about that high off the ground or would hit some certain spot and literally bounce over your head. You couldn't hit a ground stroke on it. You better get to the net. And I obviously didn't play any professionals. So, I played other really, really great juniors. I think I lost. I think I lost a match 7-6, 7-6. I think I won a match 7-6, 7-6, and then I lost another match I don't know, another close score. It was really hard to break or hit any balls. What do you think about Karatsev on grass? Who knows? Who knows how he's going to do on grass? I think Karatsev, if he can keep playing this way, I think he's establishing himself at least for 2 to 4 years as a top 10 player. If he keeps up this level and doesn't somehow go back to whatever he used to do, I think he's a top 10 player, which is crazy because most of his career, 99% of his career, he's been a challenge level player who has lost to college players on the challenge tour. So I don't know what the hell he did to become a top 10 player, but that's where he is right now. And when you look at his fundamentals, when you look at his mental toughness, when you look at his ability to go against a legend and look across the net at Novak Djokovic and not back down, he's got everything he needs to continue to be a top 10 player. All right, I'm sorry. My previous question was, what about the scheduling in regards to players' fitness? How sometimes they play 2 matches in 2 days. Yeah, that was just, the answer to that is that every single tournament in the world has covering when it rains and lights. When you have matches being suspended due to darkness and rain, you're going to have this happen, especially in 2 out of 3 set tournaments that they need to end on time so you can go to the next tournament. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. these players were like Djokovic said, he got to the finals, he went 3 sets with Rafa, and he's not at all blaming the fact that he had to play 6 sets in 2 days. So, hey, if Novak's not complaining against it, no one can. And he could just call it and say, I'm not going to play any more clay court tournaments. He's playing another one. So he feels fine. I think Roger can reach the final in Wimbledon. The next geners seem to play struggling on grass. They do seem to not really know what to do on grass. I agree. I think on grass, only older players will shine. Maybe, but I mean, how many older players are great on grass? I guess we've talked about them, right? I mean, are we going to see a resurgence of Isner and Anderson and Ronich? Are they going to make their resurgence this year at Wimbledon? Maybe. It'd be certainly a great golden opportunity for them since Federer looks a little vulnerable. Maybe they're getting extra inspired right now, thinking, man, if I can get my game going, if I can get my serve going and my return going and my net game going, my big shots going, I have a legit chance. Maybe Isner and people like that are thinking that. Maybe Opelka's starting to get super excited about grass after he did so well on the clay. He did so well on the clay, not playing clay court tennis. He did so on the clay, just serving absolute bombs, hitting big first forehands, big first backhands, and coming to the net a lot and putting a lot of volleys away. So, maybe somebody like a Riley Opelka could do very well on grass. But I always look at those players, those big servers, those players over 6'5". They have to go for 2 weeks with that carrying that big body around, and they seem to be streaky. One day their serve's on, they serve people off the court, and then if you serve 50% like he did against Nadal, you're just not going to beat somebody who can get the ball back. And once the ball comes back and they can extend the rally outside of 3 balls, big guys like that don't have a chance. Do you like modern forehand the next gen players have? Of course, it's amazing. The players today, and I love old school tennis. I've been watching a lot of McEnroe lately and just appreciating that style. I've been watching McEnroe versus Lendl at the French and McEnroe versus Connors at the U.S. Open and watching a lot of the old school, and I really love it. But look, guys, the guys today and the ladies today do everything better, no matter how much we want to kid ourselves and say, well, yes, we used to do this better and that better. The guys today do every single aspect of tennis better than they used to. They serve better and bigger. They move better. They have better technique on every single shot. And they have great touch. They hit great drop shots. And when they come to the net, they don't suck at the net, guys. Even though they don't come to the net as much as they used to, they don't stink up there. They're pretty damn good. Now Barkley wants to come back. Did you guys see earlier in the stream? He was barking at me. Now he wants to come back and hang out with me. Why were you mean to me? On camera. You're never mean to me. I think he feels bad about what he's done. All right, let's see. I'm tired of watching Nadal versus Kyrgios. I want to see Novak versus Kyrgios in Wimbledon. What is that? I'm tired of watching Nadal versus. Oh, okay. I'm tired of watching Nadal versus Kyrgios. This year, I'd like to see Novak versus Kyrgios. Yeah, they have a big grudge going too. Pretty much started, it seems like, 100% by Nick Kyrgios. He's got a real problem with Novak being so great at tennis. Sonego's performance was amazing. We got to give him some props for how well he did. And if he keeps up this level, certainly he could be a threat at the French Open, of course. I call him the Karate Kid. He looks like the Karate Kid to me. Now, all of a sudden, he's grumpy again. All right. Don't you think that we need one grass Masters instead of Beijing or Canada? Yeah, I mean, I would like to see a little more grass. I think the grass court season's too short. I enjoy watching them play on grass. The grass always looks beautiful. Even though the court's more homogenized, definitely a different style of play. The points still do favor the ability to serve and volley every now and then. So you probably have to serve and volley a little more than you're used to. And so, yeah, I like the grass. I like the grass. I love the whole tour. I love the grass. I love the indoor court season. I think it's all great. If I were to do anything, I mean, I think that Cincinnati tournament leading right up to the US. I don't know why people don't give that more credit. Like it's a big deal. You know, to me that is the most important hard court tournament in the world besides the US Open, because whoever wins that tournament most likely is going to win the US Open series and double the prize money. And it kind of does also show who's playing the best on grass. What is my favorite Masters? I like that Cincinnati, but I mean, there's so many great tournaments. I mean, I'm not even thinking about Masters. Just tournaments I love. I love the Monte Carlo tournament in the background. I love to watch the Cincinnati tournament. I love to go up to the Cincinnati tournament. That Rome tournament was amazing. I like the grass court tournament warm-ups. I like to see him play at Halle and stuff. So there's lots of favorite tournaments I have. Anytime all the big names are in it, I like it. And thoughts on Swiatek? How about that? She went 0-0, 0-0 yesterday. So yeah, my thoughts are she just gave herself a huge. She must have been struggling with her confidence. After winning the French Open, she's really struggled with results. And winning yesterday, the way she did, she instantly catapulted herself, probably mentally, 1,000%. She probably feels like the favorite again. And the field is probably looking at her different again, going, "Oh, I guess it wasn't a fluke. You won the French Open." So yeah, I mean, I think that was a huge win. No more money for U.S. Open series. Oh, they're not. Are they not doing the? They're not doing that anymore, where you can double your prize money. That's too bad. Yeah, that's the thing. Indian Wells, it's the 5th Grand Slam, and I don't think so. See, that's the thing. I don't think Indian Wells should get. What's more important, Indian Wells or Cincinnati? If you win Indian Wells, what is that an indicator of? What happens after Indian Wells? You go to Miami, which is becoming less and less played, and I think they made a mess of that new stadium. And then after that, you go to the clay court. So it doesn't mean anything. It does not mean anything. Who won it? They didn't play Indian Wells. But I mean, if you look at who wins Indian Wells, has no indication on the rest of the year. So I think that Cincinnati, if you're gonna give the 5th major to any tournament and you're going to pick a hard court, it's got to be Cincinnati, guys. Let's see. Haven't done U.S. Open series in years. Okay, well, I'm way off on that. Now that you love giving your thoughts, Swiatek, what are your thoughts on, well, her performance wasn't very good, and she ran into a buzzsaw yesterday. Hurkacz hasn't done well since Miami, right? Exactly. So it's no indicator of how you're going to do. If you want to make anything the 5th major, you could pick Rome. Why not pick Rome as the 5th major? It dictates, maybe more than anything, because let's think about it. If you're going to pick a 5th major, Indian Wells is not the one to do it on, because it has no indication of how you're going to do the rest of the year. If you do well on the grass court warm-ups, unless your name is Roger Federer, has it ever been a big indicator of how you're going to do at Wimbledon? I don't think so, because that grass court season goes so far, so fast. But if you look at the clay court season, they really do a good job of having a legit season to where there's several warm-up tournaments, to where the big names play. Like Rafa played 4 of them, and he normally does that. And when Rafa, Novak, and Roger were at their peak, they played a lot of the clay court season. And the last big one is Rome. So why wouldn't Rome be a fifth major? To me, that's a much more important tournament than Indian Wells is. So I would either pick that or the Cincinnati tournament if you want to pick a fifth major. I think the grass court season goes too fast. I think Australia, they got a lot of those warm-up tournaments. They got the ATP Cup now. And just like all of a sudden it's like a new year and you're thrown into the Australian Open. So I don't think there's a spot there to have, like, in people's mind, a fifth major. So my two fifth majors are Cincinnati and Rome. So Rafa, you just won the fifth major yesterday, and you beat a GOAT to do it. So how can you argue with that? All right, Fed isn't healthy. Let's get real. It's a long shot for him at Wimbledon. I agree. Injury and age take their toll. Look at Murray. I mean, I don't think he's as unhealthy as poor Murray, having to get a hip replacement, and Delpo with all his injuries. I mean, you just can't compare it. But, at age 39, and the fact that he's taken such a long time off and that he's playing on the clay, I think that he's playing on the clay is bad news for Fed fans. I'm a Fed fan. I'm not excited that, oh yeah, Roger's going to try on the clay. He's going to try play the French Open. That to me is like him saying, hey, I'm just trying to get experiences at this point. I want to be in front of as many crowds as I can. Maybe this is my last year. I'll do the best I can at Wimbledon, but I'm basically everything's a bonus experience at this point. I think that's where Roger headspace is. If his headspace was on, you know what, I'm going to be like freaking Rocky Balboa and win Wimbledon and get number 21, and I'm going to try and hold off Rafa and Novak from taking my Grand Slam titles from me, I think he would make his last stand at Wimbledon, and he wouldn't play at all on the clay. He wouldn't waste his time. So I'm not excited about him playing on clay, because that just means that we're probably not going to see Roger play much longer. Yes, that sounds right for Roger. Federer might have a long shot at Wimbledon. What about Serena? I mean, Serena is getting close, but then when it's weird. Serena seems to be getting closer to getting fitter than she was when she first became a mom. She's still playing a very high level, but when she has a matchup on a certain day and the other girl is hitting just as hard and moving twice as fast, Serena really shows her age. So, you never bet against a champion, just like you should never bet against Roger. You should never bet against Novak. You should never bet against Rafa. You should never bet against Serena. But to me, she is almost 40. If she's not, she's close. And she has a baby, and she's a big person that used to be super fast around the court. But I think all that, just being that strong. And I'm not at all saying she's not fit or anything. She is just big. That used to be her asset. She used to, be like almost like a running back running out there, like just super fast and low to the ground and sliding on both sides and super explosive. Now I think her size is a disadvantage, where it used to be an advantage. She used to use that frame to be faster than everybody and more explosive, and now it's not. It's holding her back. She still has the best serve out there, and if the ball's in her wingspan, she still crushes. Okay, I got to go, but thanks for answering my questions. Yes, I got to go too. Serena's choking more and more on the comebacks. Yeah, I think she does get more and more nervous. I always thought Serena, it's weird. She always had that combination of being clutch, but also looking nervous at times. I think she's always had that in her career, but overall seems to get over the nerves and still prevail. But yeah, I agree. I think she does show her nerves out there on the court. Do you think we will get another player like Nadal and Clay ever again? I don't know. I don't think so. Not anytime soon. I mean, I didn't think we'd have another player like Pete Sampras for a long, long time. He won 14 majors. He had one of the best careers ever. And Nadal is possibly going to tie Pete Sampras' total Grand Slam record with just one. He might win 14 in just 2 weeks. He might have 14 French Opens. So will we see that again soon? It's hard to believe. So that's a firm no for me. All right, guys. I am out. If you like this and you hung around and you still haven't subscribed, please at least smash up the like button and subscribe to this channel. And maybe watch a couple more videos on your way out, whether they're other opinion videos or maybe learn how to hit a better backhand or a better serve. That's what I also do. I do instruction videos as well. All right, guys. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. And it was a lot of fun hanging out.